know this game was one of the first computer games? Famous programmer Enal Corum built this game in his brain and then went to the computer to perform it. Then he began to code the game he had built in his brain. The main idea was table tennis. He also named it Pong. Yes, Pong. Naturally, this game was very comfortable for people to play. We can take the mouse in our hands and play with a few movements. Even a person who has never played a computer game, even once in his life, will be able to play this game. Well, what about animals? For example, monkey. Yes, monkey. You had right. Last month that followed, we met him. Our place name was Peyjır, and Peyjır plays Pong. But there is a very different situation from us. Peyjır does not use his hands at all while playing this game. It does this game through its place in his brain. And these views you observed were recorded during the best received experiment. Macaques are the most common primate along with humans, also called as doggy monkey. This genus is widely used in experiments in neuroscience in visual acquisitions. Also, this monkey named Peyjır, like other monkeys in the world, has to use his brain creatively. They were first to do so in order to survive in nature. But the room where Peyjır is now consists of models and drawings, and it is impossible for him to find a banana in his room. But he still finds a way to satisfy his stomach and drink banana juice from the tube, which is completely below the monitor. But for this, he has to touch the cursor to the orange object he sees on the monitor. The right hand should turn it to the handle on the right. And apparently, he manages to do so. Such experiences for many years was carried by many animals. Therefore, it is not surprising to see such behavior in animals during these experiments, which is surprising in this practice. It is a program written for him because this program understands what the monkeys want to do while thinking in the brain, reads his brain, and performs the necessary steps in the game. If you look closely, you'll see that there are few hairs on Peyjır's head because his brain was operated on and no learning chips were placed into parts of his brain. The best feature of the chips which are placed just below the brain is the transmission of electrical signals via Bluetooth, and we can observe this procedure on our phone. In this case, we are watching the signal transmitted by the monkey in a wireless state. Let's understand the situation more clearly. We normally follow signals from the left hemisphere of our brain to move our left hand, in order to move our fingers with the same hand. And to do any work, we observe the electrification between the nervous system in the left hemisphere. And we do the signals in our brains in the real world through our body parts. On the computer, this mouse, keyboard, etc. occurs by means of, and these tools are called helpers. But without them, can we live this life only with our brains? For example, can we move things and eat? Or without a keyboard, can we just write words in a computer with our brains? This is a technology that Neuralink is trying to study, research, and discovery. But in Peyjır, this process is reversed. First, the computer learns how Peyjır thinks, looks at which hemisphere of the brain works. Then all signals are converted to numbers. After learning the whole procedure, Peyjır does not need to work manually. The whole process is direct, takes place between the brain and the computer. And in the video you see now, the handle that the monkey spun with his hand is disconnected from the cable, because there is no need for cable at this stage. Also, the Peyjır spins handily. It does not help him. Already, here only the brain and the computer play a role. Thanks to this technology, Paralyzed people can move their brains, their phones, and their assistants with their brains without moving their limbs. In the next experiment, his leg was removed and Peyjır did not move his hand in this experiment. He used only the brain. Then he can use his brain to return the ball with the lines going up down. The waves in the ribbon you see on the left are different from what happens in the monkey's brain, don't mention it. In short, we see the inside of the monkey's brain. Blue waves reflect upper views and red waves reflect lower views. In bright places, more neural activity occurs. The yellow wave below is the wave that shows them more activity. When the monkey sinks upwards, the yellow wave is directed upwards. When it sinks down, the yellow waves go down. But such experiments are not the first. This practice has been used in the past. Not only the brain, but also whole body was used to read the programs. For example, in previous years, cables were placed on the bodies of people who danced in advance to perform monkey's dance moves in a cartoon. And the program realized the movements and copied the actions he remembered onto the monkeys in the cartoon. 1024 electrodes were placed in one hemisphere of the brain, as well as 1024 in the other hemisphere, for a total of the 2048 electrodes. And in previous experiments, the number of these electrodes was only a few hundred. There were many cables for used. If, as before, they would have to put 2048 cables in Peyjır's brain, and we wouldn't even be able to see the monkey's head. This process was experienced by Norellan in April 2021. But how will these people be tested? What is Norellan's opinion? Thanks to this process, paralyzed people will be able to text, experience themselves, and even play games. And people with mental health problems will be able to function in their own lives. They say in the article. Even paralyzed people will be able to reactivate their body parts thanks to this program. To this, you will need to write the signals in the brain and communicate with the nerves in the body, says Norellan. This is, of course, the first novel that comes to mind, written by Marshall. Didn't a lifeless body come to life there thanks to electrical signals? Thus, paralyzed persons of nerves will be revived. And Norellan calculated. This experiment with Bonk is just a small part of what we want to do. It is just a beginning. This is the proof that more process await us. Think about it. Maybe one day we'll see what the monkey thinks and wants to do. Not in the form of codes, but in the form of a video. Maybe the vision of our dreams, with just a few years away from us. Perhaps.